It's so nice to be here. This is my first time in Toronto. Yeah. It's a beautiful city. I've never been here. It might be the most diverse city I've ever visited. It is. It's like this whole city was cast by Netflix or something. They're like a little bit of everybody. And I love it. I love it. I never realized how important diversity was until I rewatched Home Alone. You ever rewatch Home Alone with 2022 eyes? And then you're like, oh, I see why we have diversity now. I watched Home Alone recently. I'm like, oh, there's no black people in Home Alone. Did you know that? There's no black people in Home Alone. Not one. It's a movie set in Chicago with I don't know if you've ever visited, well represented in Chicago. The closest they have to a black person in Home Alone is a cardboard cutout of Michael Jordan. And Kevin tapes him to a toy train and uses him to scare off white burglars. And I'm like, I see why we have diversity now. But now I'm used to seeing diversity, so now while watching Netflix, I count races in every scene to make sure everyone's represented. And I was watching something new on Netflix, and there's a straight white guy on the screen for too long, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, that's not okay. And then I pulled the laptop closer, and I realized it was just my reflection on the screen. And I was like, I'll allow it. I was about to write a heavily worded tweet, but here we are. Yeah, I love Toronto. It's so diverse. This must be such a hard city for racists. It must be, because you can't focus on one. There's always more around. You can't just be like, because then you're like, Just reminds me of like anytime you see like a bear trying to get salmon spawning upstream, but there's too many, and he doesn't know. I like it. I like the diversity. I'm a big fan of it. This city is just like a bunch of different cultures trying each other's food. And I think it's beautiful. It's the best part of diversity is trying each other's, what do you got? That tastes good, and I like it. I can tell it's a lot of people's first time. You know, I live in San Diego. We walked by a Mexican restaurant, and I saw a little white kid just licking a burrito. Like it was a popsicle, and the server couldn't help because she was white too. She's like, yeah, that's probably how it's done. And I was like, everyone's learning. So much. I love this city. Everyone's kind, so kind. I'm not used to it. People are nice in traffic here. They let you merge. They're like, come on in. Every once in a while they don't, but that's a BMW. That's how that goes. That's what BMWs do. They don't let people merge. But everyone else, come on in. There's plenty of room. We'll wait together. It's nice. I knew it was nice. The second day we were here, my fiance and I, Emma, we went to the park, and an old man fell at the park. And before he even fully hit the ground, 3 young people ran to his aid. They sat him up. They called 911 and then waited for the ambulance to show up. And I'm just sitting there watching this with my American eyes, and I'm like, they forgot to steal his shoes. Old people don't fall in America. You get shoved. That's how it works. Or you're on a bike. It's been a weird week in the States. I don't know if you've kept up. I've been busy vacationing. I've been here for the last 2 weeks. I've been half watching the news. I don't know what happened. You ever do that where you half watch the news and you're trying to piece it together? Like Biden fell off a bike and somehow that made abortion illegal. That was a hell of a fall. How hard did he fall? Who let that old man on a bike? That guy has a whole security team. The Secret Service, can you imagine how nervous they were? We're going to go on a bike ride today. And they're like, great, that's wonderful. Just have to stand waiting. But I like it. I like Toronto. Very clean city. People are friendly. You guys name things for what they are. I performed at a small comedy club called Nothing Fancy, and I showed up. And guess what? It was nothing fancy. It was just a bar in a room with 20 seats, and I'm like, this is beautiful, right on the nose. I like that. You guys have a children's hospital? You don't call it a children's hospital. It's called sick kids. That's what it's called. Don't want to leave any mystery out there. What's going on in that building? Sick kids! Who named that? One of the children? Is that what happened? Jimmy, what should we call this building? Sick kids. A little on the nose, but I like it. Like where your head's at, Jimmy. Appreciate it. A lot of natural beauty in this area. We went to Niagara, got to go see the Niagara, the falls there, which is gorgeous. It's like if the Grand Canyon sprung a leak or something. So fun. It's like if there was a leak, the flood at the Grand Canyon. You're like, yeah. It was wonderful. I went with my fiance's family, and they've been there a bunch of times, so they weren't as impressed as me. I've never seen it before, so I was just sitting there going, wow, you know? And then after that, we went down the street where it just turns into a tourist trap. It's the weirdest thing. It's like one of the natural beauties of the entire planet, and then someone's like, you want to go to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville? Shouldn't that be further away? It shouldn't be that close. It just let me know that, like, the human attention span is only so long. Like, it can be the most beautiful thing on the planet. People are like, all right, well, now what? That means if we're ever going to have, like, commercial flights to the moon, they're going to have to put a rainforest cafe up there. Because after 5 minutes, people are going to go, well, I could use some appetizers. I don't know. How much moonwalking are we going to do? Gotta live our lives. It's been so nice. We came up here, not just for this show, but I got engaged, so we came up here. Thank you. Yeah. I got engaged, and my fiance's from up here, so we came up to, like, meet her family. I got to meet everybody, and she comes from a big Persian family, so I was, like, getting introduced to the hospitality of a big Persian family, which I'm not used to, because I come from a white family. I come from a hi, how do you do, white family, and we have engagement parties, but they go, hey, congratulations, all right, see you at Christmas. And then we had an engagement party. It lasted 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks of, you need more rice. There you go. You are never not hungry. In a Persian's household, they're like, you look hungry. I'm like, I just woke up. You're eating. Eat it. So much hospitality. Her parents are so nice, they just come out of the wall. Like, I don't know, they just show up. You need the Wi-Fi password? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, actually, that was so kind. She packed so many snacks. We did that 2-hour drive to Niagara. And halfway into the drive, she just pulled out hot tea. I'm like, where did you warm this? I didn't even know. How did you prepare hot tea in a RAV4? She pulled out a thing of hot tea just in a nice glass. Just poured it in a nice glass as we're doing 70 on the interstate. Here you go. Thank you. Oh, wow, piping. All right. It's wonderful. So much hospitality with a little bit of the nabat in there. I don't know if you guys know what nabat is. Yeah, but it's homemade. Yeah, the family in the back knows. That's them. They know. For the rest of you that don't know what nabat is homemade sugar. It's sugar you make at home, you put it in the oven, you smash it up, and then it looks like crystal meth. And then you put it in your tea, and then it makes you feel like you're on crystal meth. Like, it jacks you up. You feel like you're ready to take over the world. It's just absolutely wonderful. But yeah, had a wonderful time out here. I love all the different languages. Definitely a lot of French out here, which I'm not used to. Southern California, I'm used to a lot of Spanish, and I've kind of noticed the difference between the two languages. You know, Spanish is a very welcoming language. It just seems like everyone's welcome when you hear Spanish. That's how I feel when I hear Spanish. Come on in. There's a little Spanish. And French just feels like a gated community, doesn't it? It just feels like a roundabout, get out of here, how did you get in? You don't have the code. There's something about the language. On the flight out here, we had a French flight attendant, and you can't have a French accent in a hospitality job. it doesn't come off genuine. You know, like she was super nice. She dropped off sandwiches and drinks, but just with the accent, I'm like, you don't mean it? I don't think you mean it. It's so good. Someone said, we don't. Thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it.